Everyone talks about access, and everyone thinks if you make access no longer an issue, then it's smooth sailing from there. But I think when you're a student from a low-income background and you're surrounded by a lot of people who are from a much more privileged background, adapting to that culture of privilege can be really challenging, socially and emotionally. Many of our students come from families where they were contributing financially to the household, or they had responsibilities to support their parents in terms of making the household successful. Then they leave their families and they go to college, and they understand that going to a selective college is the best opportunity for economic mobility for their families. However, it's difficult to leave your family and then not be fulfilling that responsibility. There are a lot of students who actually work while they're at college and then send money home to support their families, in addition to paying the parts of the tuition that they're responsible for.
So I work about 10 hours a week, and this semester I'm actually doing 2 jobs. For about 4 to 5 hours, I work in the Center for Engagement and Resource Foundations. And what I do essentially is sort through paperwork for Princeton and just working at a desk typing and the usual desk work stuff. For the other 5 to 6 hours, I work with a graduate student, which I've been fortunate enough to find, and to help her sort through her data and help her with her final thesis for the PhD.
But my first impression was just, wow, I cannot believe that I'm here. Just coming up from, maybe growing up in an immigrant household in not a very good area of Newark to now, the best school in the country. It was a real shock to me, and sometimes I had doubts of, was I that admissions mistake? Whose place did I take? But that was sort of like forces that I had to deal with on my own, sort of thinking whether or not this school was for me. But at the same time, I absolutely loved it. It was phenomenal and it was beautiful.
So I had my parents come visit the university library, and as I wanted to show them, what it is. I wanted to show them Firestone and how humongous it is. And then so they had to go through the privileges office in order to get a pass for the day. I have this dual identity that I've been carrying for a while. So my parents are undocumented. I was born here, so I'm a U.S. citizen. So, throughout Princeton, I've had to carry this identity as well. I exist on 2 realms. I'm a U.S. citizen on one half, but the other half, I worry for my parents constantly. So they're able to produce. They had a City of Newark ID. But of course that wasn't enough, so unfortunately they told them they couldn't come in. So that's always something on the back of my mind in terms of sort of bridging those 2 sort of realms that I exist, where the stable world that's granted me through the privilege of being a U.S. citizen, but the other aspect, where literally my family could be taken away from me. But I've tried to not let those things define me, but actually use them as more fuel to continue my quest through Princeton and being able to graduate and sort of start my other chapters in my life.
I think one of the strengths that students like me bring to Princeton is a sense of resilience that comes from the adversity that we'd face. So it's something that you can't really teach to everyone. It's something that you live through, and being able to overcome tough situations that are commonly associated with low-income students. I'd like to tell my kids that they can do and go wherever they want to, because I grew up with a sense that I could only go so far, and that schools like Princeton were out of my reach. Princeton wasn't even in my mind junior year until I had gone into LIDA. So it was something that I didn't think was possible. I wanted it, but I didn't think that it was achievable.
When you have students from diverse backgrounds on the campus of a selective college and university sharing classroom space, in dormitories together, in clubs together, you create a mutual learning environment that's truly beneficial in creating the future leaders of this country and in supporting their education. So it's important that students from low-income backgrounds and students from affluent backgrounds, for example, in a classroom talking about economics and education inequality in this country. In order to really enrich that educational experience, you really need to understand the perspectives of people from different backgrounds. So that kind of cross-fertilization in an academic environment is truly valuable in creating community across students from different backgrounds, both affluent and low income.